Some legends fade away, but this one drips with blood. Annie Palmer, known as the White Witch of Rose Hall, wasn't just a murderer, she was a monster. Born in Haiti, she was raised by a voodoo priestess who bathed her in the blood of the dead. This early exposure to dark magic and rituals shaped her into a being of pure malevolence. The whispers of the spirits and the cries of the damned were her lullabies. When she moved to Jamaica, she married John Palmer, a wealthy plantation owner. The union seemed like a match made in heaven, but it was anything but. The grand halls of Rose Hall echoed with the silent screams of those who would fall victim to her insatiable thirst for power and control. But love? That wasn't in her cold, blackened heart. Murder was. Her eyes, dark and void of any warmth, could pierce through the bravest of souls. Her smile, sinister and calculating, was the last thing many saw before meeting their untimely end. She poisoned her first husband. The poison, a concoction of her own making, was slow and agonizing. She watched with a twisted sense of satisfaction as he writhed in pain, his life slipping away with each passing second. She slit the throat of the second while he slept. The act was swift and brutal, the blade glinting in the moonlight as it descended. The sheets, once pristine, were now stained with the crimson evidence of her cruelty, and the third, she buried him alive and listened to his muffled screams until they stopped. The earth, cold and unyielding, became his tomb. His desperate hands clawed at the dirt, but there was no escape. Annie stood above, her heart as cold as the ground beneath her feet. But Annie's thirst for death didn't stop with her husband's. The plantation fields, vast and seemingly endless, were her hunting grounds. Her hands, often stained with the blood of her victims, were a testament to her unending cruelty. She took slaves as lovers, only to carve their skin with hot irons before killing them. The branding iron, glowing red-hot, was a tool of both torture and control. The marks it left were a cruel reminder of her dominance and their suffering. Some she fed to wild dogs. The forest, dark and foreboding, echoed with the growls and snarls of the beasts. The dogs, driven by hunger and madness, tore into the flesh of those unfortunate enough to be offered to them. Others she locked in a room and let them rot. The room, decaying and forgotten, became a prison. The skeletal remains, a haunting reminder of their slow and agonizing demise, lay in the dark corners, untouched and undisturbed. Her reign of terror should have ended when a slave finally turned her own dark magic against her. The slave, driven by desperation and a thirst for justice, delved into the forbidden arts. The spell book, old and tattered, held the secrets to her downfall. They say he waited until she slept, then strangled her with a noose made of human hair. The noose, a macabre creation, tightened around her neck, cutting off her breath. Her struggles, once fierce, grew weaker until they ceased altogether. But even death couldn't stop her. The halls of Rose Hall, once filled with the sounds of life, now echoed with the whispers of the dead. Her spirit, restless and vengeful, roamed the corridors, seeking out those who dared to enter. Tourists at Rose Hall still report seeing her standing over their beds, whispering their names. The apparition, pale and ethereal, was a chilling sight. Her voice, soft and haunting, sent shivers down the spines of those who heard it. Some wake up with bruises on their necks, as if someone tried to choke them in their sleep. The marks, dark and unmistakable, were a grim reminder of her lingering presence. The sensation of ghostly hands tightening around their throats was a terror they would never forget. Others never wake up at all. The graveyard, shrouded in darkness, held the secrets of those who had fallen victim to her wrath. The empty beds with their rumpled sheets were a silent testament to the lives lost. You can visit Rose Hall, but will you leave alive? The mansion, with its eerie lighting and ominous presence, stood as a beacon of terror. The question lingered in the air, a challenge to those brave enough to enter. Like and follow at Legends of the Shadows for more real-life Caribbean horror. The tales of the Caribbean, rich with history and mystery, held countless stories of terror and intrigue. Each legend, more chilling than the last, awaited those who dared to uncover them. Sleep tight, if you can. The shadows, ever present and unsettling, seemed to move with a life of their own. The ghostly figure watching over the sleeping person was a reminder that the horrors of the night were never truly gone.